All right. Thank you so much for that. And just taking a sip of my coffee. Yeah.
Uko sure hiyo si uji, Victor?
Ala.
Uko sure sio uji?
I wish the camera could just see the content. It's something good. Not uji. Uji is equally good, but not uji. All right? Okay. Now let's take a look at our local dailies here today on what's making on the headlines. And with me is the Star newspaper on this 13th day of September 2021. On the front page, Raila's plan to lock Mudavadi out of Western. Perhaps you can just see that. All right. Raila's plan to lock Mudavadi out of Western. The newspaper continues to say that ODM leader has moved to wrest the region from Musalia's grip to fortify his foothold as the scramble intensifies. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper, banking on Oparanya and CS Jain Wambui. Right, Raila's plan to lock Mudavadi out of Western. ODM leader has moved to wrest the region from Musalia's grip to fortify his foothold as the scramble intensifies. Okay, and still on the front page, why Mount Kenya unity meeting was called off. Reports of cracks in the agenda and fears of infiltration by opponents forced organizers to cancel today's key Mount Kenya meeting, leaders meeting. It has now emerged. Some political heavyweights from the region, allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta's Mount Kenya backyard, had planned to convene in Embu for talks to chart the region's political unity ahead of the 2022 polls. And elected leaders from the region, including governors, senators, and MPs, had been invited to the all-important meeting to craft the region's 2022 plans. And according to an MP here, I quote, "It was untenable to hold a meeting where some leaders want to use our presence to pursue their own political agenda." An MP was quoted as saying that. Okay, state seeks to tighten news on lawyers in war on illicit money. I will give you more details on that, as well as tales of trauma, secrecy, and hurdles in an ending FGM, the fight against FGM. Let me just pick it there briefly. And it says that, yeah, there we have it. The tales of trauma, secrecy, and hurdles in the unending fight against FGM. Practice still prevalent, especially in Kisii. Is the government failing on its accountability role in the war? Now, it says that it's something that the government must now get up and fight. Let me quote from one lady here. "We get paid between 500 and 1,000 shillings per cart. This is a highly secretive venture because it's illegal, so we refer to each other. Mostly, our friends refer to us to clients. We don't decide on which girl to cut." That is one of the ladies who carry out this practice. And according to the report, it's prevalent in Kisii. All right. Kimunya bill, lawyers to reveal financial deals with their clients. Lawyers would be required to report their clients' cash deals in fresh efforts by the government to bolster the recovery of proceeds of crime. Now, a bill sponsored by National Assembly Majority Leader Amos Kimunya seeks to amend the law to compel lawyers to disclose details of their clients' financial details and transactions to the authorities. The Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Bill 2021 seeks to ensure lawyers are among persons answerable to the Asset Recovery Agency. That is on the papers there. There's a story here, and I know this must be worrying. Why men have been worst hit by COVID-19. Now, drinking alcohol, smoking, and other risky behaviors place men at a higher risk of COVID-19 infection compared to women. Acting Health Director General Patrick Amoth says that men are more likely to engage in risky behaviors such as locking themselves in entertainment joints long past curfew hours. This exposes them to not only crowded environments but also poor circulation of air, which is a catalyst of spreading the virus. So, men, wenzangu, let's just be good. Curfew ikifika, all right, we go about it. All right, Regina.
Now, the front page of the Standard, your guess is as good as mine, the conversation around politics and church. And actually the header here and the big read is politics and church clash. I want to quote the front page as, they have picked persons of interest here. That is none other than our guest who's going to be coming on in not too long. Victor, we have Jackson Sapit, Ole Sapit there, of the ACK church there. We welcome everyone, but we have to make the church to be the church. We have many leaders in attendance who we shall just recognize. Anthony Muheria, Nyeri Catholic Archbishop. May you be ashamed when you stand on holy ground to speak politics and insults, since you are calling a curse on yourselves. This is a message to all politicians. On the other hand, Francis Atwoli, the court boss, says, I would not vouch for politicians to campaign in churches. Our church is a place of honor and respect and ought to be treated so. We want the church to remain a voice of reason. Now, the decision by Archbishop Sapit to bar Raila and Mudavadi from addressing the congregation yesterday brings into focus the dilemma of church leaders whenever senior politicians are in attendance as the next year's polls near. The question of the pulpit being used by politicians to propagate, their manifestos and matters of politics. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's what I have on the front page of the Standard this morning. Remember, it is the 13th of September 2021. Matters of politics. Then also we have a human interest story, and being a weekend, I know it's always a moment to replenish with among loved ones, actually with our loved ones. So there's a story here of two lovebirds who met online on Facebook. They fell in love. They went for their first date. But the man got scared after he saw that the person he was liking on Facebook was somewhat disabled.
Was somewhat what?
Disabled. Actually, she's disabled. And the story goes that after the first date where he had to push her with a wheelchair, it started raining. He thought people are going to think that they are beggars on the street. After that first date, he called it quits. And he's quoted here saying, I felt so much effort was required to support her if we were to date. People stared at us. They thought we were beggars. When I took her to board the matatu, it started raining. I had to carry her on her seat before dismantling her chair and putting it in the boot. These are confessions of one Peter Odiwar, who is currently married to Lynette Kasaga. Kagasa, that is Kagasa. So the lady here, as I said, Kagasa was born without her left arm. She also lost both her legs to a mysterious illness of the bones 30 years ago. She's 30 years old and she works at Safaricom Care and uses a wheelchair and requires support in most of her undertakings. I was scared of her condition, but I still fell in love. This is quite a touching story, and away from matters of politics as well as COVID situation, the economy and such. This is quite an endearing story to just encourage each one of us. You might have met someone. How you met them should not be the question, but are you willing to go the long haul, or are you there for the good? When it gets bad and ugly, you leave. On that note, we take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Glad you are still keeping us company. The hashtag still remains to be Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle ever is at KBC Channel 1 News. Our individual handles are at Regina Manyara, at Doreen Arange, at Victor Oloo, and at Jain Wambui. We now move on to the Daily Nation. You guys have already mentioned almost all the stories that have been captured here. Just two more, rather three, that have not appeared on the papers that we have gone through so far. Number one, the words of Deputy President William Ruto: "Call me survivor, not hustler. I've overcome many challenges," says DP, and this is in light to him being sidelined under the Jubilee administration. He speaks at a church where he was giving an experience that he went through in Mombasa. Everyone was calling him hustler, others calling him heshimiwa. Then there was one particular individual who called him survivor, and that is something that stuck with him through and through, especially looking at what he has gone through being sidelined under the Jubilee administration. The other story that has been featured here is in regards to the anti-graft agency summons to Kenya Power directors. That story has been featured here on the back page of the Daily Nation as EACC. EACC boss wants 9 non-executive board members of the Kenya Power and Lightning Company to present themselves to appear at their offices between Tuesday and Thursday of this week, and they are investigating allegations of interference in the procurement process by the board of directors. That has been featured there on the back page of the Daily Nation. Again, it was a rude shock for Raila and Mudavadi, the events that happened this past weekend when they were barred from the pulpit. They're walking out. We'll be giving you more details as we get to that. And finally, CBC. According to this piece, most teachers still lack the capacity and grades to handle CBC, and as per a survey that was done by Economic Survey of 2021 that was released last week, 178,024 teachers, that translates to about 81% of the teacher population in our country, they held the P1 certificate by the end of last year. And in order to competently be able to take on the responsibilities that come on with the CBC, they are required to have a diploma. And this all comes amid the national outrage from parents who are saying CBC is quite the handful. On one side, there are complaints that the teachers are not yet green, quote unquote, as has been termed here. The dilemma of green teachers 1 year to the total rolling out of the CBC curriculum as we phase out the 844 system, and 8 out of 10 teachers do not have the requisite qualifications to undertake the CBC curriculum. Now, so far, the Ministry of Education has been offering some short courses here and there in select schools for select teachers to help them jumpstart the CBC in each and every school. But this does not replace the diploma requirement that is needed to fully be able to take on this particular curriculum. And on the other hand, parents are complaining, and I'm sure you guys have come across these complaints, and especially on social media with pictures of scarecrows being posted all over. We have parents that are complaining a number of issues when it comes to the CBC. Number one, the rationale of the heavy workload that is being given, the endless list of learning materials, and some have gone to the extent of questioning the teachers and their competence to undertake this particular curriculum. But speaking to this, let me just quote what has been written here. "I have heard your cries as parents, guardians, and teachers. There is a petition challenging the CBC which will be filed in the courts next week," I presume this week now. "And the education system in Kenya should not be expensive, inefficient, and ineffective experiment with our children and their future as our future leaders." And before we even get to the People Daily, looking at this petition that is looking to challenge the CBC, terming it as expensive, inefficient, and ineffective, considering the heavy workload that children are being given and the endless list of learning materials. CBC, personally, I've had my fair share of the responsibilities that come with the CBC. I have a child who is in that particular lot, and it is a lot of work. But on the other hand, looking at how my child is, in terms of how far she has progressed academically, comparing to my experience when I was in that grade, I can confidently say that CBC is doing my child good, as opposed to what I went through as an individual. But inanirudisha pia mi shule. I don't know what you guys feel about this whole CBC narrative, the responsibilities that is being placed on the parents and the children themselves when it comes to the involvement and the projects that you have to do. My goodness. Ray, ebu tuanze na wewe.
So I'm privileged and happy to have a child in the 844 system.
Yes.
The last of the lot, and also in the CBC. The 844 system, this is something I relate to because I went through that system. But also the workload is quite a lot, and I know we are rushing to, just clear the gap and the backlog caused by the COVID-19 disruptions. That is okay. Where I cannot be there physically to do the homework, I have to call home and we do the assignment, on phone. Because, we need to be very realistic. Not a majority of parents, especially within the CBD or rather Nairobi and its environs, have a clear-cut job of 8 to 5.
Yeah.
And even if there's traffic, there are other circumstances that keep you away from home when you're
home in
supposed
time
to be home to be assisting your child with the assignments given. So we have to make do. Let's come to CBC. CBC, I have never, this was the first time I interacted with retractable crayons. I did not know what that was. For me, I was given a list. It had crayons. I went, kawaida, bought crayons, and I was confident that my daughter has everything that she should require for school.
Yes.
Only for her to come and tell me, Mom, we've been asked to bring these particular crayons. So I'm thinking, why didn't the school actually indicate on that list that they want retractable crayons?
Yeah.
And we've already shopped all that, including covers and such and such and such and manila paper. And I'm thinking, there was a day I was asked to do a project to bring a bottle of perfume, a bottle of oil, and something else. Then I asked myself, fine, what if I didn't have an empty bottle of perfume? What would have happened? Would I have bought? I can't use perfume in a day,
Empty the bottle.
Yes, and I can't empty it. So it gave me a lot of anxiety as a parent. And even in this article here, there's a survey that has been conducted, a study by the Center for Public Education that has concluded that homework tends to provide more academic benefits to older students than to younger students, for whom the benefits seem to lie on the non-academic realms, such as improving studying skills and learning structure, as well as responsibility. From where I sit as a parent, I wish this, handiwork, technical skills that, is required of our children who are especially in CBD. Can we have this homework falling on the weekend? Then we can actively get involved in it.
Yes.
Because scarecrows, for Pete's sake.
Okay.
The materials. Let's also be alive to the fact that this is CBC. It is new. We all need to get into the program.
Yes.
But let it not be punitive. And also the issue of expense. The issue of expense is also something else. Leave alone time. The issue of expense. Unlike the 844 system before they scrapped the home science, the art and craft, we did the soap dish, we mended the clothes, we did all that as students. Now we have done away with that. We have introduced CBC, and I see it's moving to that direction. So I'm like, okay, what is happening with our education system?
D, very quickly.
I obviously don't have experience on that, but just going by what I've even heard from people that are close to me in regards to that CBC, I think the major challenge is that there's that lack of proper training, especially on those administering this kind of new form of education, CBC. It was all skill-based, all geared towards changing even the form and mindset of children as they're growing up, which is a good thing. And going by also what you're saying, Jane, at least you can see that there's a difference in that.
Oh, yes.
Going by what you studied and what your child is now studying. But that aspect of should I say, like, imparting more knowledge to these teachers, perhaps to also better understand, because you see most of them are actually those that taught 844, and they're just picked now to teach CBC without lack of proper training, yet they're getting into a new curriculum, new space. So because of that, then it looks like parents are now taking all the responsibility. But perhaps if there was proper training, then at least there could be 50-50, like parents take a 50, teachers take a 50, then it becomes much easier.
Okay. Vic, mambo ya CBC.
Well, I think the government has always maintained that CBC is here to stay, and they have all the good intentions why CBC is supposed to be there. The issue of having a white-collar job in Kenya probably is one of the reasons why the government decided to say, you know what, we are going to equip our kids. You are going to go to school, yes, you're going to get your A, but then now you don't have life skills. We've had situations where you have, B plus A students who, when you give them life skills, they are not able to hack certain things. So I remember back in high school, our principal used to tell us that I'm not teaching you to pass exam, I'm teaching you for life. And there's a reason why. I told you I was whipped twice by my principal in high school, Mr. Caleb Oro. Thank you, sir. Reason why I was whipped in Form 2 and Form 4. At lunchtime, after lunch, the githeri and uji, the normal meal in high school, and it's hot. So Kijana decided to fold his sleeve. Then the principal spotted me. He called me. I thought there was something he wanted to tell me. No, it's so rare, but a principal calling you in his office. So he whipped me twice, and he said, I don't want you to fold your sleeve. I am your principal. It's hot. My tie is here, and my cuff is here. What about you? I'm not teaching you to pass exam, but I'm teaching you
for life.
For life. Right now, see.
How many years later?
Like you have folded your sleeves like today.
Exactly. It was a skill. He never taught me to pass exam. Exam is part of life. But then, I think CBC got parents off guard.
That is a sure fact.
Truth. It got even the pupils off guard. We're not, most people are not prepared for this. And people are just learning in the process what CBC is all about. Okay? But slowly, we will get there. CS Mago has said it's here to stay.
Competency-based.
Yes.
Yeah. And
not about
theories. Weekend. Let's have those competency assignments over the weekend.
Mi nakwambia,
we cannot be working
and doing
long
assignments.
Hours, then we have to assist our kids also with that. Not everybody can.
But the kids are thoroughly enjoying. Trust me.
But also, to a large extent, this was expected. I mean, that comes with change. Any form of change, resistance
is abound.
It's sort of expected.
I think this goes back to crocheting. Remember when ladies used to do crocheting? You play it on another's hair, then tomorrow go to school. You get it?
CBC ilikuwa ishaanzanga.
Haiko sawa, but watuweke weekend. My goodness.
Utangoja sana.
Doreen, over to you.
All right, so let's come to the People's Daily very quickly. And obviously, I mean, just from what has been happening all through the weekend in regards to politicians being banned from church, perhaps can just go by the head on the PD that not on our pulpits. Clerics tell politicians on campaign trail, and perhaps I can just pick a bite from Anthony Muheria. And he said, or rather he warned that politicians have decided that they own places of worship in their greed for votes, and this is actually why they came up with this directive, part of what informed that directive to ban politicians on the pulpits, and that if they attend churches, they just attend like normal congregants. We also have farmers up in arms as wildlife wreak havoc. That is in Mount Longnot, and they are now blaming the government for failing to act, as the number of marauding animals continued to rise daily, and obviously and adversely affecting their normal chores as well as their crops. That is those are the leopards, hyenas, which have killed livestock in that particular area. So calling on the government to take up action in regards to that, as well as the LSK boss, that is Nelson Havi, with just about 6 months to end of his term, which is expected to end on March of 2022. And the question is, so far in this period of like at least 1.5 years before that expiry, how has he managed to change how the law society of Kenya is? And just picking by what this article highlights, that immediately after he was declared winner in February 28th of 2020, it became clear that Havi was running on a platform of change and the promise to restore LSK's lost glory. So has he restored that lost glory? Why am I saying glory? Glory. Has he restored that lost glory in this 1.5 years? And
I'm about kienyeji. Glory.
Glory.
We'll not speed past like you didn't say that. Rudia
Okay,
tena?
it's glory.
Yeah.
All right, so has he restored that lost glory in this 1.5 years? 1.5 years so far, and the remaining 6 months, what has he set across to just continue changing the face of LSK before his term expires? And we also have on education matters, where Learners Mop-Up delivers Nyanza. That is 100% transition. We had that time where the education CS was traversing the country in various counties just to ensure that this 100% transition is actually achieved, and most counties, especially in the coast part of the country, they hadn't even achieved half of it, or even, you know, even 60%, which was at least the bar there. But most counties in the Nyanza part of the country have achieved that, and I'll be telling which counties specifically, you know, have at least achieved this 100% transition and how they have managed to do that. We also have the former nominated senator, that is Isaac Mwaura, who now cries over security after a drone visit in his area, and he alludes this to that time when he was mobilizing people to attend Ruto's stop over at Githurai. That was actually on Sunday last week. So he thinks because of that, that is why perhaps he's facing those security issues around his area after there was a drone visit around his compound there.
All right. Okay, so I see we are running out of time, so let's just get over this done very quickly. Missing Muslim cleric Abdi Samad had strong pro-Somalia opinions. Missing Muslim cleric Abdi Wahab Sheikh Abdi Samad had strong opinions relating to Kenya-Somalia relationship. Human rights organizations following up on his disappearance believe his assailants have been concerned with his stance and must have wanted to silence him. Now, the gentleman there, 55 years old, that is Abdi Swamad, was abducted on Wednesday at around 10 a.m. along Taberman Road by 4 people. The 4 wrestled him to the ground before cuffing his hands. They then bundled him into a double cabin pickup truck they were using. The assailants sped off towards Mwidimbingu Street, and witnesses said that one of them was armed with a pistol. A missing person notice circulating on social media shows the registration number of the vehicle to be KCW 341Y. Now, DCI boss George Kinoti promised Muslim leaders and lobbies that he would personally oversee the probe into Abdi Samad's case and apprise them in 7 days. Okay. Anti-graft agency to question 9 Kenya Power directors over tenders. It is an attempt by procurement cartels to prevent queries raised by the KPLC, that is by the board. And the Anti-Graft, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission boss Twalib Mbarak has summoned the 9 members to appear before the detectives at Integrity Center and record statements on their roles in the allegations leveled against them. Now, tomorrow, Abdul Razak Ali, Caroline Kitony, and Joroge Muhu are required to appear before the investigators. 3 other board members, Elizabeth Rogo, Cairo Thuo, and Sachen Gudka, are set to appear on Wednesday. Thursday has been reserved for Chairman Yeda, Isaac Kiva, and Humphrey Muhu. Now, Abdul Razak, Rogo, Kitony, Yeda, and Gudka were appointed in July last year as non-executive directors at KPLC. Okay. Just to, in terms of business, Jen, Uganda, top market as Kenya's export value hits 643 billion shillings. Africa remains the largest market for the country's goods, but it imported more from China. Uganda was the biggest market for Kenyan goods last year. The Economic Survey 2021 shows as the country's total value of export hit a high of 643.7 billion shillings. Now, this is a 7% growth from a total of 596.6 billion shillings realized in 2019, despite a drop in exports to Europe, the US, and China, which retained its position as the leading import source for the country. This must be some good news for Uganda, Regina. Yeah.
Now, that particular survey made headlines sometime last week, just looking at, how Kenya performed in that particular year that we're talking about, the financial year 2020-2021, thereabout, that culminated in June. So much was revealed, including sectors that did well and those that did not do well. And what was a shocker is that 740,000 Kenyans lost their jobs, while, the ICT sector recorded an improvement of 4%. Why? The work from home campaign, as well as e-learning and such. So there were ups and downs in that particular survey, and I'd want to invite our viewers. We had, detailed report in regard to the economic survey, as, read by Ukuri Yatani, the CS National Cabinet Secretary there, National Treasury. And also warned that, going into the long term, medium term, we're looking at going back to profitability and also just good dynamics in as far as economy is concerned, looking at an average growth of GDP to 6%. Yeah. How we need some sectors just like the tourism sector, which was hard hit, that also affected the services industry, the hotels, entertainment joints and such. That is something that needs to, we need to revamp. It needs to kick off, because we rely, if you look at the contribution of the tourism sector to the GDP has been put at around 10-12%. There was a target to have it contribute up to 15% of GDP. But then this hasn't happened.
Let me just ask you this one. Could it be because of the economic barriers? The discussion having the economic barriers between the East Africa states is something that has been going on for a very long time.
Well, that is something, remember, even with the East African common market, there's also been talk of, having a common currency. There's been a push and pull, matters of, diplomacy here and there. Remember that this AfTA is already, the African Continental Free Trade Area is already in effect. And now we have the EAC and it working at having, common grounds of trade. The non-tariff barriers have been a barrier for too long. And even as the East African community continues to expand, we are still seeing that there's some aspects that, yes, we have moved forward, like the one-stop border posts. We have currently 13 that are already operational, 4 or 5 currently in construction. So as we are working towards, easing the non-tariff barriers, also we need to harmonize the policies and the laws so that we can trade as a regional bloc and take advantage of other, other agreements that you have made in as far as intra-African trade is concerned. So when it comes to Uganda and Tanzania, Uganda actually is our key source market. That is very key. We need to know that. And Uganda relies on Kenya, being that it is landlocked. But we have seen projects that Uganda has chosen to go on its own to reduce the cost. So also as Kenya, positioning ourselves as a regional hub to do business, we need to do better improving our infrastructure, as well as making it affordable for persons to come and invest.
Thank you. Regina means business. We've just taken
Regina akisikia pesa ananoa machete. Ananoa machete.
Because you have to get the numbers and figures correct.
But that is how business is supposed to be, and especially in the African space, not just even the East African bloc. Because you find those border barriers are some of the things that limit us even to grow as a continent. That's why we have foreign investors coming to specific countries and taking over.
But Kenya is a powerhouse in East Africa. Back to us, we need to work extra hard so that come the next report and survey, tujipate tuko kwa ile ligi yetu. You get what I'm saying?
Could you imagine if there wasn't those border issues? Yani ukitaka kitu Uganda unapiga simu, oya nataka delivery hapa hivi Rongai. Chigali. Mkono ile nini? Inakuja. Can you imagine how far we would have progressed as a continent?
And how easy that can be as well.
The Common Market will do that for us. And now even better yet, there are plans of having, a common currency.
Yes, that's
so that
also
you do
another
not
thing.
have to change currency X, Y, Z.
country.
And Burundi has come on board. So we are expanding as a regional bloc. We just need to harmonize our policies and laws. I want to pick your brain. Maybe just, I don't know how many pork lovers are on set today. How many enjoy pork? Jane is one. Doreen? You enjoy pork?
Yeah.
Victor?
Thinks twice.
Victor doesn't know. Victor, I'm asking.
Umesikia hiyo kicheko, sema umeena.
Hayuko sure.
Oh yes, I don't do pork.
You don't do pork?
No.
Okay. I'm also very skeptic about pork. However, well done pork ribs, glazed honey. I mean,
Botamu.
it's very early in the morning and it's a Monday. Hey,
Did you just slurp?
It's 2 minutes to 8, and you can't do that to us.
You're slurping in the morning, Regina.
No, you can't do that to us.
Early.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Regardless.
Life is for
Fall
the
off the
living.
bone ribs.
Life is for the living. I enjoy my food. Where I come from, there's a statement, and I'll say it in Meru. Wetugu tempara. Akunanga nja. So
Allah?
we
Hakuna
always
njaa.
eat. Now,
Allah?
we're talking about pork.
Natumbukiza.
This is a fun fact. We're talking about science, health and science. Pork from stressed pigs tastes like sawdust.
Take that again.
Wow.
Pork from stressed pigs tastes like sawdust.
How do you even know that a pig
Now
is
this
stressed?
is it. Pigs fight during transport to establish social order,
Oh, yeah,
resulting in injuries and affecting the quality of meat. So this is a report by it's a study by the World Animal Protection International Livestock Research Institute, ILRI, and the University of Nairobi, titled Animal Welfare and Food Safety in Nairobi Pork Value Chain. Yeah, so the statistics indicate that 25.83% of pork produced in Kenya, yes, is of poor quality, and the majority of pigs were poorly stunned and died in pain. So apparently, yes, when pigs, stressed pigs, kama mmezibeba kwa nduthi, motorbike, yes, or they have injuries, fractures and such.
Yeah.
According to Dr. Yemo, he says that meat from a stressed pig tends to lose excess water as compared to a non-stressed pig and weighs less, so it brings in loss, it has less meat. So my friend, you need to take care of those
How
pigs.
does sawdust
Taste.
taste
dry.
like for them to liken it to
Yeah, exactly.
pork that is
Basically,
from a
all
pig
the
that was
things,
stressed?
of all the things they could
Do you
liken
remember?
it to.
Do you remember the statement as white as snow, as you
No.
remember the similes and such?
Yeah.
So I tend to think they were going for something like
But
that, but I think they were going to
Doreen
the
can give us an example of
dryness.
how. Doreen,
An example of what?
okay. You know, when that thing is
Victor,
when that
you
thing
chose
is,
violence.
when it's properly
An
fried,
example
how
of
would you
what?
taste? How would you know the difference of taste?
Oh, 'cause I like.
Yes, it's well done. Castiu vizuri.
But
and
they
some-
say how you slaughter an animal has an impact on the quality of meat.
And also how you prepare it.
Yes.
It has a very big impact on how it will turn out.
Have you
the
how
seen?
it
butchers
will
are talking.
taste.
The butchers are talking. Jen and
Have you
who
seen
do the
how?
slaughter.
No, trust me. I have seen the process of slaughtering chicken. Mass tukiziuza. We have farmed chicken with my father. When you see how they are slaughtered professionally, akunanga ati kushika shingo na kata zinapigwa. Knockout.
Me, I go for how you prepare it, because even that chicken, just to pick that example of Kenya, at least yote tunaweza kula like chicken. You see how you cook it.
Ya kienyeji.
Really determine how it will come out.
Okay. All right. So
On that foodie note,
we
Take a
taking a break,
Yes.
but the chairman of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission is up next. That is Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia. Let's talk about hate speech and politics. Then later on in the program, the next hour, we'll also be joined by Reverend Archbishop Jackson Olesapit. Today is going to be fire. You don't have to go anywhere, all right? We'll be right back. Jen says, after this break. Okay, we'll be right.